Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. A cashless society, a new crypto IPO, Uphold, New York Stock Exchange, and digital finance. You're going to want every single bit of that. And the XRP Ledger connection. It's huge. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content right now. $3.54 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 1.4%. Bitcoin, 102,200 plus. Ethereum, 3,400 plus. Number 4 spot is XRP at 246. Now we're up 0.4 on the 24. We're up 6.6 on the 7-day. Let's look at the range of price very quickly here. Range between 233 and 252. We will keep an eye on it, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to remind everybody about getting the best night's sleep since you've been into crypto. You could do it right here. And with the hacking attempts and the cyber attacks at all-time highs, give yourself the peace of mind you deserve. You get free institutional grade custody. Don't worry about if you've been hacked. Don't worry about if your transfer went through, the market orders are correctly, because you can actually call and speak to your prime broker directly 24/7, 365. It is unmatched in this space. There's no question about it. So make sure you go to xrpwealth589.com and sign up today and start getting the best night's sleep since you've been into crypto. That's what this is about. Multiple layers of security, two-factor verification. They verify all your transfers and transactions when you do them. And then you can even put special restrictions on your account to make it even more secure, to go above and beyond the multiple layers of security they have in place. This is the kind of protection I've been looking for a long period of time. And if you are looking for it, you have just found it. Click the link underneath the video or go to xrpwealth589.com. And get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas. Caleb and Brown's going to be there. Ripple Premier sponsors there. And Paul Barron will have a media desk on the exhibit floor. This is going to be an experience like you have never, ever experienced so far. The 4th year of XRP Las Vegas, and we're taking it XRP plus everything. And I do mean everything. And we're working on it right now. So get your tickets today. You won't believe it. April 30th to May 1st at the Paris Hotel. It is absolutely opulent. It is so gorgeous. You're not going to believe it. Get your tickets today. Here's the news. Grayscale announces public filing for registration statement proposal of initial public offering. I can't read this morning. Just to read the actual first paragraph here, I've read the whole article. You don't need to see it, but 35 billion assets under management. Grayscale Investments, world's largest digital asset-focused investment platform, today announced that it has publicly filed a registration statement on Form S-1 with the SEC relating to the proposed initial public offering of its Class A common stock. Grayscale Investments has applied to list its Class A common stock on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol GRAY. That's what's going on. Shout out to Grayscale. It's IPO season, ladies and gentlemen. The government's back open, and I'm sure they're going to be working on that market infrastructure bill diligently. And here we see news that we covered much heavier on the first video this morning. Shout out to Canary Capital, Stephen McClurg, and everybody there. Their XRP ETF, spot ETF, is now going live in the next few minutes. This is just absolutely beautiful. I love seeing it. We have all waited for so long, right? And now that moment's here. And we know 7+ other XRP spot ETFs are waiting in the gates to be let out over the next few days. So watch out, ladies and gentlemen. A flurry of activity is coming. And speaking of a flurry of activity here, first true crypto bank charter in the United States goes to Telcoin. Telcoin is getting their first crypto bank charter in the United States out of Nebraska. And I ask you, where is the national bank charter for Ripple? We are beyond the 120-day application review period, and we've heard nothing because the government was shut down. We should have heard something on October 31st, and here we are, November 13th. We haven't heard a thing. So any day we could be hearing about that Ripple Bank charter and the Fed skinny master account, which I believe they will get both. And why wouldn't they? Because the United States is moving into a new digital on chain economy. And the golden age will be tokenized and penniless, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look here. After 232 years today, the U.S. Mint has made the last penny in production. That's what's happening in this picture right here. That the video.
Everybody, this is the last one.
There we go.
Any final words from Penny?
God bless America.
Yeah, God bless America, and we're going to save the taxpayers $56 million, which is good. We're going to do a countdown on this one. This is the last one. 3, 2, 1.
There you have it right there. No more penny in production. It's over. Ended right now. You saw it. As we move into this new digital on-chain economy, I see why it's happening. And then there's the part that scares me, right? No getting around it. It's the digital ID just went live. Apple has officially rolled out the digital ID, allowing users in the United States to add forms of identification, including a passport, directly to their Apple Wallet. You know, this will be just like the pager and it'll be just like the cell phone. You know, that's so convenient, you know, that one day when that pager was out, why do I need a pager? And then you finally get one. It's like, can you just stop before you come home and grab a gallon of milk and this, that, and the other and some eggs and blah, blah, blah. And it saves you going back home and coming back out. The practicality, the convenience of it. You start going, you know what? It is good that I have a pager. Next thing you know, we got cell phones. Next thing you know, we got smartphones. And next thing you know, we got digital ID on Apple Wallet. That's where we're at here, right? And all of that's coming, I believe, because the financial system is moving to a standardization known as ISO 20022, and that migration is happening this month, 9 days from now, November 22nd. Take a listen.
For me, my final message is that ISO 20022 and the migration and the end date for November 2025 is critical. It's critical for domestic and cross-border interoperability, and really will support all of the community to deliver more rich and structured data and really optimize our cross-border payments processing.
There you have it right there. There you have it right there. And I just want to go back at the end date for November 2025 is critical, which we know it is November 22nd is the actual physical date, right? We are just days away now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not saying this because I expect the price to go crazy. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because we're about to see the new digital on-chain economy connected on the legacy traditional financial side of the fence. And at some point, they will begin integrating these digital assets, stable coins, XRP, Bitcoin, the rest of it. We don't know exactly how quickly or how fast, but the point is it will be a day of transformation that we will never return to the old way ever again. It's not a change, it's a transformation. And that's why this ship with shipping containers on it was at the recent Swell conference to really signify and symbolize that standardization. Because it was the standardization of the shipping industry that gave us our global trade economy that we have today. It was building the ports the same way, with the same cranes, with the same size containers, the same size trucks to carry them, the same kind of ships to be able to stably carry all of these containers in a stable fashion. All of that standardization at all of the ports globally opened up trade to where we have the global trade so deep today, the way it's never been before. That is about the same thing that is about to happen to money and the tokenization thereof it. And that's where we're going. And you could hear today as we talk about it, let's listen to Kristalina Georgieva, the managing director at the IMF, talk about a cashless society in India and digital ID.
I am very a bit on.
Hold on, I know it's too loud. These videos are so different level clips every time. It makes me crazy. Let's try this.
I am very a bit on India because of this boldness with which they do things that others are telling them not possible. For example, digital identity.
Oh,
India, everybody was saying you cannot have everybody with digital ID. This number, this system that you are promoting, it's not going to work. They have proven them wrong, so it's working. And
now Apple's doing it.
then they use this boldness to build competitiveness on top of it by having the public digital infrastructure that allows digital payments. I mean, it's amazing. You walk in a rural India, nobody's using cash. How did that happen? One of the steps that Prime Minister Modi took was to say, I'm going to suck out small notes, only big notes, and that's it. You cannot have small notes anymore. People were saying, oh, terrible, the economy is going to go down. For a short period of time, there was a bit of slowdown. But the overall impact is digital payments are predominant. They're much, much more acceptable in society. So you have digital ID, public digital infrastructure, no small fiat money anymore in circulation, and all of a sudden, payment cost goes down, entrepreneurial capacity shoots up, and the results are seen in the growth trajectory of India.
And there you have it. So India is the play, right? India is the example of where they want to go, and now Apple's doing it for the US. You know, I'm reminded of all of this cashless society that Kristalina Georgieva talked about here. Remember back in 2020, if you've been with me for a while, this goes back now. She was just talking about digital ID and cashless society in India. And now Apple's rolling out digital ID in the United States because we're getting ready to introduce stable coins with the Market Infrastructure Bill and the Genius Act. And we're about to move cashless too. You've got that, right? I don't have to piece it together. I know you guys are smart. So going all the way back to 2020, we were covering this. Visa applies for digital dollar blockchain patent. Well, you know what's so incredible about this? The United States Trademark Office, Patent Trademark Office, published today that Visa has filed a patent application to create digital currency on a centralized computer using blockchain technology. And this patent applies to digital dollars as well as other central bank digital currencies such as pounds, yen, euros. So the physical currency of a central bank anywhere in the world could be digitized. You're hearing this, right? That's what we're talking about here, right? This to me is exactly where we're going. And back in the day, Cristiano Carlos, Senior Counsel Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, former chairman of the U.S. Commodities Future Commission, commented on Visa's patent filed for the U.S. Patent Trademark Office. This confirms when the U.S. does big things like the space program and the internet, there are partnerships between private and public sector. This patent filing is evidence that private sector is very much at work on the future of money. This was in 2020. In 2020. And what's interesting about this is that Visa does not hold the patent for the US dollar or the euro or the yen or the pound, as is mentioned in this article, that they could tokenize and digitize. But yet they have this patent that allows them to do it, which is like a repatriation of paper money to digital money. You see how quickly they can turn this on? This has been in place for 5 years with Visa. And then we find out that they buy Ripple Partner Currency Cloud for $930 million. Pretty sure they're using that. You know, where this is going is just quite remarkable. Digital assets get a seat at the big table. The Federal Reserve's financial stability conference is diving into crypto, and you guessed it, stable coins. Oh, the behavior in stable coins as safe assets, right? It makes sense, doesn't it? World Bank, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva highlighting India, going cashless. Apple's introducing digital ID, which India's already proved they can do, right? That's the first step to getting everybody to go cashless. Then we know who's got the money when it's tokenized because you got the digital ID to go with it. Now you got the Federal Reserve going over it before they turn it loose on all of us, right? And then we got Uphold. This is great. This is straight fire here. Now we know Uphold is partnered with Ripple on the back end for enterprise solutions. Well, the first clip I'm getting ready to play you. First of all, shout out to Simon McLaughlin. This is one of the coolest cats as a CEO on the planet. And he's doing big things. And he's joined by New York Stock Exchange desk to sit down for the interview at Money 2020 in Vegas. And I want to play this first one where he reveals that they are now talking with 50 traditional financial firms that are looking to get in to this crypto world.
And for years, we were taking the narrative that blockchain is a new infrastructure for financial services out to the market. Nobody wanted to listen. If you're a traditional financial services company and there are no clear regs, you're not going to want to engage. Over the last 9 months, we've got a rich pipeline of around 50 TradFi companies who want to catch up and offer digital assets.
There you have it. So now with that being said, bringing the conversation back to what we've led up to through India, the ID, Apple, and Kristalina Georgieva highlighting a cashless society in India, right? Let's talk about the importance of stable coins. Let's hear Simon on that. Let me move it up to here. And all of this is a great conversation, but I just got to get these highlights for us. Take a listen to this on stable coins. This is where the proliferation, I think, is going to take off after we get legislation.
Deposit token is we're going to be the first platform to offer our customers all around the world a US deposit account out of the United States. So if you're in Venezuela or Colombia or Argentina, you'll be able to get a US bank account. The more important point is you're going to get a dollar that's issued by a US bank that moves on the blockchain, but it pays interest, sits as cash on a corporate balance sheet, is FDIC insured, and has Reg E protections. And when you think about that, that's a way more attractive proposition, especially to companies.
It sure is. And I tell you something, the fact that all kinds of citizens from other countries can go through Uphold and the way they're going to do it to get a U.S. bank account. You heard that, right? Uh-huh. Okay. And private issuers of stable coins are to soak up all the bonds of the hyperinflated bonds of the dollar debasement, right? Okay. Well, let's move another step forward here. And let's hear Simon McLaughlin talk about the new partnership with Vast Bank. And if you were at XRP Las Vegas 2025, you would know that Vast Bank is Greg Kidd, formerly of Ripple and formerly of the Federal Reserve. Take a listen to this connection.
Talk to me a bit about the partnership with USBC and Vast Bank. How do you see this bridging the gap between more traditional finance and more efforts on chain?
And very quickly, USBC is the stable coin for Vast Bank, Greg Kidd's bank.
Sure. Well, I think it's a tri-party agreement between the three. So USBC is like the scheme. Think of it as a fifth rail, a little bit like Visa or MasterCard. Then other banks will plug into that rail. Vast Bank is going to be the issuer of the bank accounts and the issuer of the dollars on chain. I think from a customer experience, what's fascinating is you'll be able to have a dollar that not only has wallet credentials, so you can send it on chain to wallet addresses, but that same dollar can also travel through traditional rails. So you can pay your electricity bill through ACH. You can have your salary paid in through direct deposit, but then have the dollar work much harder for you because it can move into DeFi, or you can do traditional stuff in your daily financial life.
There you have it. You could see the template from India now expanding out the rest of the world, and certainly in the US with Apple Digital ID, and knowing what's going on in the play here with stablecoins on Uphold and the connection, the partnership between Vast Bank and USBC. This is super, super awesome. Now, as a side note, Uphold is moving to offer new products and features. Take a listen to this opportunity.
Tested. What we at Uphold are very focused on is surfacing through our app the best of DeFi, but in a fully KYC'd and fully compliant way. So in the second half of this year, we're going to be opening up an on-chain borrowing and lending protocol that will allow people to take cash loans against their digital assets. The cash loan is actually given out by a DeFi protocol called the Exactly protocol. So it manages the collateral. You can borrow against your digital assets. You don't have to sell your digital assets, so you get to hold your positions, but you get cash you can use. So it makes your assets work much harder. Interest rates typically 4% below what you can get from a bank. Equally, you can choose on Uphold to deploy. You can extend the loan, so you can earn a yield on your digital assets by taking the other side of that protocol and lending the digital assets that provide the loans.
All right.
There you have it right there. Simon McLaughlin from Uphold. Big things are coming, ladies and gentlemen. And here, just to send it off here, here's Greg Kidd on stage talking with Eleanor Terrett. Shout out to her and Greg. And they're on stage talking about we're putting the entire banking industry on chain. Yes, on the XRP ledger. Take a listen.
Now, Fastbank. Tell us about Fastbank.
So I made the decision of what would it be like if we could put the banking industry directly on chain. So you've heard some of the other tokenized asset talks today. So the question is, instead of having like a Circle or a Tether in between, what if US banks put dollars directly on chain, including the XRP ledger? So that would mean that the ledger of record isn't some like old 50-year-old bank core, it's actually the blockchain. And so to do that, had to buy a US bank, and you can imagine, even though I'm ex-Federal Reserve, having worked at Ripple, made some other investments in crypto, it was not an easy lift, but last year we were finally approved. Might have helped that I ran for Congress and was going to make a stink.
Right, and here in Nevada, right?
Here in Nevada in the 2nd District. We purchased Vast Bank, OCC, nationally chartered Fed holding company, and we have one purpose, which is to put the US dollar on chain. And what that means is these are FDIC insured US dollars, complete with Reg E chargeback protections, means if you get robbed, you get your money back, running on chain. And in particular, under the new administration with open banking and fair access, those dollars can be held by every person all around the world. So that means essentially everybody in the world has a US dollar deposit account, FDIC insured. And so I'd ask you a question. You've heard about the new 5% tax. If you're on this ledger and you're sending money from, you're here under one visa and you're sending it back home to your mom, if that money never leaves being a dollar, never leaves the country, never even leaves the bank, is that a remittance? I don't think so. I think in this new world, if everything is on ledger, including the XRP ledger, and it's just moving on ledger, what does it mean anymore to move money from one country to another? It doesn't really happen. It just all stays on ledger. And it's the XRP ledger that made that possible all the way back in 2012. That's really why I joined Ripple to this day. And so buying a bank and putting US dollars on, we've also made an investment in the Bank of London, and I'm closing a bank deal in Europe soon. So that means dollars, pounds, and euros running 24/7 bank money on chain.
On chain, on the XRP ledger.
On the XRP ledger.
There you have it. It goes on to say on other chains eventually too, but that is the plan, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, we can't forget the other side of the plan, the world's largest XRP treasury. Now, the SBI Group to invest $200 million into Evernorth, largest public XRP treasury company, is not exactly breaking news. We knew that for a while now, but nonetheless, and for Len, I did answer the response. I don't know why it's not showing, but if you're a little unclear if Evernorth will buy off the exchanges or at a discount, they said in their press release that they would primarily purchase off of the spot retail market, which is where all of us buy our crypto, off of exchanges. So that's the answer there. Look, this is where the world's going. and it's going here in a hurry. This is exciting. Now, digital ID does scare me, it does. But I mean, if we are being, completely honest with ourselves, we do have to understand one true fact, which is, they could cut your money off now. Money is digital now. It's not tokenized per se, but it's certainly digital. And if they want to cut your ID off, they could cut your identity and your money off right now to just close down all your cards and your banks. And the only thing you have is whatever cash you got in your pocket, right? So I guess it's not that big of a leap from where we are. And I'm trying to mentally adjust and rationalize it, but I'm still not a fan. So that's where I'm at on that. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.